Welcome back to the deep dive. We're picking right back up, plunging again into the really shadowed lives of the Coffin brothers, Joseph Romano and Dominic Morelli.
That's right. Last time we left them literally in the ashes of Project Fantasy, that horrific Soviet bioweapon site they destroyed in Berlin.
After surviving that insane 50 against 2 fight, the Marzan massacre, discovering the F-47 hallucinogen, the human experiments, it was just one nightmare after another.
It really was. They uncovered so much, the North Korean connection, the kidnappings, all culminating in taking down that facility.
And then, poof, 6 months, gone, missing, presumed dead, or worse, behind the Iron Curtain.
Until May 1951. They reappear, not just alive, but carrying, just bombshell intelligence, game-changing stuff.
Yeah, confirming a mole right inside Truman's cabinet, plus this entirely new threat, the Sujimori group. Came back scarred, but with intel that shook the agency to its core.
Absolutely. And that's where we start part 2. It's not just about licking their wounds, it's about what happens next. The recovery, the next mission. The cost just keeps climbing.
So what did happen after they got home? That's the core question here. How does an agency handle operatives who are physically, and you'd assume psychologically devastated, but hold critical knowledge?
Well, it's a fascinating look at the lengths they'd go to. It shows their resilience, sure, but also the relentless meat grinder of covert ops. Their journey was far, far from over.
Okay, let's get into it. May 1951. They're back in U.S. hands. The intel is filtering up, causing panic, I imagine, but physically. Describe their condition.
Oh, it was grim. The official reports use phrases like severe physical condition, which is probably an understatement. Joey Romano, Julian Rayner on paper, then had extensive burn scars.
From the Project Fantasy fire, presumably.
Almost certainly. Deep tissue damage, all along his left arm, neck, torso. Painful, disfiguring stuff. But also, the blast seriously damaged his hearing. Left ear.
Which, for someone like Romano, an analyst, a codebreaker, it's critical.
Absolutely critical. Auditory cues, subtle sounds, gone. And, to top it off, limited mobility in his dominant hand, his right hand. The one he needs for writing, for detail work, for, everything he specialized in.
Devastating. What about Morelli? Vincent Kessler, officially.
Morelli's injuries were maybe less immediately visible, but just as severe in their own way. Deep cuts on his face, sure, but internally. Multiple broken ribs. And the key thing, they'd set improperly.
Meaning he spent 6 months in agony, basically. No proper medical care.
Exactly. Every breath must have been painful, and there was still, believe it or not, visible shrapnel embedded in his right leg. Just stuck there.
Unbelievable.
Plus, he was reporting neurological symptoms. Could have been from the plane crash they survived earlier in Berlin, maybe lingering effects from Weissy, concussion-related, perhaps exposure. We don't know for sure. Point is, these guys were wrecked.
So Langley gets this report. 2 broken agents, but they hold the keys to the kingdom, intelligence-wise. What's the response?
Swift. Absolute. No hesitation. Just one day after Morelli's initial debrief, May 9th, 1951, boom. Category A, rapid recall order.
Category A, that's the highest priority.
The highest means drop everything, get them back, secure them now. No questions asked. Their initial destination was coded Site C7.
A black site, right. Undisclosed medical intel facility.
Precisely. Somewhere remote, secure. The Montana sector, apparently. Perfect for handling sensitive cases like this, recovery, debriefing, controlling the intel flow. Keep them isolated.
Okay, makes sense. High priority recall to a secure facility. Standard procedure for assets this valuable, I guess.
But here's where it gets really strange. Almost immediately after the C7 order, there's a classified reroute, a medical reroute directive.
Reroute, where to?
Get this, a top-secret Canadian facility. Outside Whitehorse, Yukon territory, deep in the wilderness.
Canada. Why Canada? That seems counterintuitive. The Yukon.
Right, it wasn't for the scenery. The reason cited was a clandestine Canadian-aligned experimental program, codename. Project Alder Branch.
Alder Branch. What was it?
According to the directive, Alder Branch was working on advanced regenerative therapies and neural-linked prosthetics and non-synthetic skin grafting. Stuff straight out of science fiction for 1951.
Regenerative therapies. Neural-linked prosthetics. In the early 50s.
Exactly. Their memo explicitly stated these methods exceed anything currently available in the United States. So Langley saw their condition, saw Romano's potentially career-ending hand injury and hearing loss, Morelli's chronic issues, and decided on a high-risk, high-reward gamble.
Sending them to an unproven experimental foreign program? That shows how desperate they were to get them back in action, doesn't it?
Or maybe Maybe it shows something else too. Were they just trying to heal them, or was this part of a larger hidden effort to push human limits?
An early kind of, well, biological arms race.
Yeah.
Using their own agents as test subjects, almost.
That's a chilling thought. Who was the contact in Canada? Couldn't exactly walk into a Yukon hospital.
No, the contact was as unusual as the project. A pastor, Neil Rosales, Filipino Anglican cleric, also a wilderness counselor. Call sign, Blessing 9. A pastor.
Yeah.
And a CIA asset. And a biomedical courier.
A strange mix, isn't it? The directive stressed extreme discretion, told them flat out, do not speak to airport staff or local authorities.
Why?
Because, and this is a direct quote from the internal memo, Alder Branch was years ahead of schedule and not without risks. They were stepping into the unknown, medically speaking.
Wow. So, hidden facility, experimental tech, years ahead of schedule, inherent risks, contacted via a wilderness pastor. This whole Canadian detour sounds incredibly risky and covert.
Utterly. It speaks volumes about the value placed on Romano and Morelli, and maybe the desperation to not just fix them, but perhaps upgrade them, using tech nobody else had access to. Deep, deep black medicine.
Okay, so they go through this. Whatever Project Alder Branch was, what's the result?
Well, fast forward just over a year, July 15th, 1952. The records state that after rehab, which ultimately concluded back at Site C7 in Montana, suggesting Alder Branch might have been Phase 1, the really experimental bit, both agents were certified fit for full operational duty.
Fit for full duty after those injuries. Less than 14 months.
Astonishing, isn't it? The reports claim physical readiness restored to 100%, only minor scarring left. For Romano, healed neck and calf wounds, a faint line on his left arm. Morelli, just some scar tissue over the knee, slight hair loss near the facial scars.
That recovery speed is almost unbelievable, especially Romano's hand and hearing. Did Alder Branch actually work wonders? Or are the reports glossing over things?
That's the million-dollar question. And psychologically, the evaluations claimed zero lasting trauma, optimal cognitive function. After everything they saw, everything they did, zero trauma.
Yeah, that sounds convenient. Or maybe just a testament to compartmentalization, or the necessity of appearing fine to get back in the field.
Could be any of those. The pressure to be operational must have been immense. But regardless, the agency signed off. They were back.
And immediately thrown back into the fire, I assume.
You assume correctly. Their next big assignment, Operation Desert Sands. Deployment to the Kingdom of Egypt. Timing. Right on the eve of the July 23rd Free Officers Movement uprising.
Egypt, 1952. King Farouk Nasser. That's a major Cold War flashpoint. Suez Canal. Strategic location. A real powder keg.
Exactly. This wasn't some minor intel gathering trip. Their objectives were complex, hands-on, and incredibly sensitive.
Okay, break it down. What were they tasked with?
First, embed with Colonel Gamal Abdel Nasser's Free Officers cell in Cairo. Not just watch. Embed. Become part of the revolutionary movement. Gain their trust.
That sounds incredibly difficult. Nasser's group would be wary of outsiders, especially Americans.
Extremely wary. Requires incredible tradecraft. Second objective, provide tactical, strategic, and technical support for the overthrow of King Farouk's regime.
So actively help the coup succeed. What kind of support?
Could be anything. Advice on securing key locations, communications jamming, maybe even identifying loyalist weaknesses, using Romano's analysis and Morelli's direct action skills.
Wow, okay, what else?
Third, disrupt British military advisory and support elements within the Egyptian armed forces.
Ah, the Cold War angle. Undermining British influence, even though they're technically allies. Classic CIA playbook.
Messy, isn't it? Then fourth, facilitate the secure transfer of captured equipment, weapons, radios, whatever, to the pro-revolutionary units. Help arm the new regime.
Right, consolidate their power.
And finally, a really delicate one. Exfiltrate key royalist officers who were willing to defect or provide intelligence, get valuable assets out, people who knew the old regime inside and out.
So, infiltrate, advise, disrupt the British, arm the rebels, and extract defectors. That's a lot. How do they even get in country?
Very carefully. Rendezvous at Rhine-Main Air Base in Germany, July 21st. Transported via classified diplomatic courier flight. Their cover.
Let me guess. Something completely mundane.
You got it. U.S.-Egypt agricultural delegation. Two guys supposedly there to talk about cotton yields were actually there to help topple a king.
Incredible. When did they arrive?
Landed Cairo International, July 22nd. Just hours before the coup kicked off. Imagine the tension on that plane.
And the rules of engagement. What were they allowed to do?
Lethal force authorized, but only against forces directly resisting the free officers. Key constraint. Minimum collateral damage. They wanted surgical precision, not a bloodbath.
Intelligence gathering, too, presumably.
Absolutely. A high priority was grabbing any British comms gear, cipher materials, anything they could exploit, all while maintaining complete plausible deniability. No CIA fingerprints left behind. Ghosts again.
Okay, so Operation Desert Sands kicks off. How did it go initially?
According to Joey Romano's field report, dated July 26, 1952, remarkably well. The Free Officers Movement, with their, let's say, guidance, took control of key government sites in Cairo and Alexandria very quickly.
King Farouk's palace.
Fell without a major fight. Seems like some well-placed sabotage of communications and transport paralyzed the loyalist response. Swift, efficient. The report is almost clinical. Primary objective, overthrow the Kingdom of Egypt. Status, achieved. Secondary objective, protect Anwar Sadat, a key free officer. Status, achieved.
Casualties for the CIA assets.
The report states none. Clean.
Wow.
Looks like a textbook success on paper.
But knowing these two, there's always more to the story, isn't there? Was it really that clean?
Not entirely. There's one very nasty unreported incident. While moving to secure Sadat's villa, they ran smack into a clandestine UK assassination team.
British assassins. In Cairo during the coup. Who were they targeting?
Presumably Sadat or another key free officer. It was a 5-man team. Professional gear. Suppressed pistols, garrotes. They meant business, silent and deadly.
How did Romano and Morelli handle it?
With their usual efficiency. The engagement lasted less than 2 minutes. All 5 hostiles neutralized. No civilian casualties. They even recovered the gear, including a Thompson with a silencer.
Under 2 minutes, 5 trained agents down.
Yeah.
Wow. And this wasn't even in their official report as a casualty incident?
Nope. Just another obstacle removed, apparently. But this encounter, and maybe just being back in the field, led them to dig deeper during the post-coup cleanup.
What did they find?
They started pulling threads using local contacts near the Giza Plateau, and they confirmed rumors of something odd, a clandestine UK government project. Codename Sandstone.
Sandstone? What was it?
A hidden underground bunker. Right near the pyramids, about 300 meters southeast of the Great Pyramid's base. Talk about hiding in plain sight.
A secret British bunker next to the pyramids. What was its purpose?
Initial intel suggested a forward command post, maybe a weapons cache for protecting British interests. It had reinforced concrete chambers, hidden air vents disguised in the sand, clearly meant for long-term covert use.
Any signs of recent activity?
Oh, yeah. Recent truck tracks on unused roads, weird radio bursts on naval frequencies, even fresh dirt from excavation. Something was definitely happening down there right when the government was changing hands.
So Romano smells something fishy. What does he do?
He sends a request back to Langley. Wants authorization for a detailed site survey. Asks for directives. Should they neutralize whatever's inside? Exfiltrate materials? And crucially, what's the official diplomatic stance on engaging UK operatives now?
Good questions. What were the British up to, digging tunnels under the Giza Plateau during the revolution? It definitely wasn't just routine defense interests.
Exactly. It hinted at something much deeper, much stranger. And stranger is exactly what they found.
The Sandstone bunker. It wasn't just a command post, was it?
Not even close. Joey Romano sent a crisis update field report on August 9th, 1952. It detailed what they found when they infiltrated the bunker, now recodenamed Sandstone Prime, on August 7th. He said it was beyond any known threat matrix.
Worse than Project Fantasy. What could be worse than weaponized hallucinogens and mass experiments?
How about experimental rejuvenation? A program trying to reverse aging, maybe even conquer death itself. But it went horrifically wrong.
Rejuvenation. How?
The report describes a bizarre mix. Ancient Egyptian rites, it mentions papyrus serums, ritual incantations combined with modern biologics. They were giving test subjects something called raw serum.
Raw serum, trying to achieve immortality, basically.
That seems to be the goal. But the result? Catastrophic failure. Instead of rejuvenation, subjects experienced rapid cellular necrosis paired with hyperaggression. Their bodies decayed, but they reanimated.
Reanimated, you mean, like zombies?
Essentially, yes. The report describes them as being in a state of perpetual decay, cannibalistic, near immune to small arms fire, and driven by a single directive: spread the condition. A biological nightmare cooked up in a secret British lab under the pyramids.
Oh my God. How many? How big was this project?
Lab logs indicated no fewer than 1,200 test subjects. 1,200 people.
1,200?
And apparently only a handful survived post-initial collapse. All the others transformed instantly. This wasn't a small experiment. It was industrial-scale horror.
So Romano and Morelli walk into this, and then what?
All hell broke loose. Alarms went off, containment doors slammed shut, but it was too late. Uncounted reanimated subjects flooded out of containment cells. A wave of decay and aggression.
They had to fight their way through them.
Romano estimates hundreds, and he believed thousands were now loose in the underground tunnels, already breaching surface vents, threatening to spill out into Cairo.
This is insane. Did they get hurt?
Badly, again. Morelli took a deep bite to his left thigh. You can imagine what kind of infection that might cause. Romano was limping, multiple lacerations, losing a lot of blood. They barely managed to fight their way out, retreating east into the desert, ending up in some abandoned Bedouin tent, low on ammo, low on supplies.
Facing thousands of those things. What did they do? What could they do?
Romano, thinking fast, desperate, he got a signal out. His request was immediate and extreme.
What did he ask for?
Immediate aerial bombardment.
Right.
High-yield incendiary ordnance. On the Project Sandstone prime coordinates, he wanted total annihilation.
Burn it all. The infected, the facility, the serum, everything.
Complete eradication. He also screamed for extraction, medical evac, and quarantine for both of them, warning that if this spread, it could devastate Cairo, maybe the whole continent. The urgency, the sheer terror in that request, it's palpable even in the dry report language.
He basically called in an airstrike on his own general location to stop a zombie apocalypse.
That's about the size of it. A horrifying echo of Project Fantasy, but somehow even more visceral, more monstrous. The absolute desperation, calling down fire near yourselves because the alternative is unthinkable.
Did the airstrike happen? Did Langley authorize it?
They did. Dino Morelli's next report, August 11th, a casualty and extraction request, confirms it. The incendiary strike hit Sandstone Prime at 22 million hours on August 9th.
Did it work?
Apparently, yes. The facility, the surrounding area, obliterated, reduced to a contaminated crater. Critically, no further undead outbreaks reported. The immediate threat was neutralized, burned out of existence.
Can you imagine witnessing that? Was there any public mention? An explosion that big near Giza?
There was. We found a snippet from the Cairo Evening Chronicle, August 10th. It mentions at least 6 unmarked aircraft flying low over Giza early that morning. Then, 10 minutes later, a tremendous explosion about 15 miles southeast.
What did they see?
A reddish-orange fireball and a dense mushroom-shaped cloud. Windows rattled for miles, but crickets officially. No government statement, Egyptian or otherwise. State radio just played music and farm reports. Total cover-up.
Wiped off the map and wiped from the record.
Yep.
So, mission accomplished, threat contained. But what about Romano and Morelli? They were still out there, injured.
Yes, and the cost. The cost just kept escalating. During their exfil attempt on August 10th, trying to get clear of the blast zone and the remaining stragglers, their Land Rover was forced off the road by a pursuing group of infected.
Don't tell me.
It gets worse. The crash ignited a secondary fuel drum that was somehow under or near the vehicle. A huge fire.
Oh no, Romano.
Romano suffered third-degree burns, left torso, left arm, but the worst. His left arm was crushed and incinerated in the fire. Amputation was the only option. It was unavoidable.
His left arm, gone. After Aldebrandt's trying to fix his right hand, he loses his left arm entirely.
Gone at the shoulder. Morelli got away with superficial burns on his face and right hand, thankfully. But Romano, that's a life-altering, career-ending injury. Or it should have been.
Where were they when Morelli sent that August 11th request?
Stabilized, barely in a Giza safe house. Romano alive, but missing his arm. Morelli medically fit to travel, holding it together again, waiting for pickup from another nightmare.
What was in Morelli's extraction request?
Yeah.
Beyond just get us out of here.
It was specific. He requested extraction directly to the CIA medical facility at Travis Air Force Base in California, specifically to their limb reconstruction unit.
Specialized unit. Makes sense.
And he requested funding, $275,000, for the charter flight, the surgery, the burn care, and for one more thing, an experimental myoelectric unit for Romano.
A myoelectric prosthetic. In 1952. That's cutting edge, doesn't even cover it. That's basically science fiction back then.
It really was. Using muscle signals to control an artificial limb. It shows the incredible lengths the agency was still willing to go to for Romano. Not just patching him up, but trying to restore function, operational capability with technology that was barely conceivable at the time. It underscores their immense value, even after suffering such catastrophic losses.
What a journey. Part 2 took them from experimental recovery in the Yukon wilderness to fighting zombies under the Egyptian pyramids, and ended with Romano losing his arm. It's just relentless.
It really is. Resilience doesn't even begin to cover it. It's about the sheer grinding toll of this hidden war, the constant proximity to horrors beyond imagination, and the unbelievable sacrifices made, not just physical, but the constant exposure to things that would break anyone.
And it leaves you wondering, how do people like this keep going? After losing limbs, after seeing things like Project Fantasy and Sandstone Prime, what drives them forward? What's left inside?
That's the profound question, isn't it? And beyond the individuals, what does Sandstone Prime tell us about the secret history of the Cold War? We focus on nukes, on spies, but what other horrors were being cooked up in hidden labs by supposedly friendly powers? What was the real cost of that shadow conflict measured in things far worse than bullets?
It really makes you think about the secrets still buried, the true price paid in those dark corners of the world. We hope this deep dive gave you a new perspective on that hidden history. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Keep digging, keep questioning. There's always more beneath the surface.